Hello and welcome to EHF Euro 2022 in numbers. Today we'll have our first show looking at all things statistics to do with EHF Euro 2022. My name is Mark Hawkins and I'm joined by founder of Handballytics and statistical guru Julian Rooks. Good evening, Julian.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening. And well, many greetings from Budapest. Of course, I'm excited as well for our first live show. And well, since it's our first live show, many of our viewers probably don't know who we are. So maybe could you introduce yourself in a couple of words first?
Sure, yeah. I'm a former handball player. Played for the Great Britain national team up to and including the Olympics in London in 2012, and since then I've been coaching and working with statistics and analysis. I currently coach a club team in Kristiansand in Norway, and I've been working previously with the Great Britain and Chinese women's national teams. And that's led me here to working with the statistics with you, Julian. What about yourself?
Well, as you said, I'm the guy behind Handballytics, which is a platform where I analyze handball based on so-called advanced statistics. And yeah, I've worked with a couple teams and leagues, and of course, one of them is EHF, where besides this show, I provide the stat of the day in the newsletter that you get daily. And in a couple of days, you'll read my first article on the website of EHF Euro. It focuses on the Euro 2020 itself. So I guess that's enough about ourselves, Mark. Mark, what have you planned today?
Yeah, so today we're going to have a look through the competition so far. We're going to take a statistical tour through the groups, how we've got to where we are today, and have a little look at some of the teams left in the competition. We're joined by some great guests from Iceland, from Spain, from Norway, from Germany, to take a look at our featured game later on, which we'll be doing a lot watch along with, and getting stuck into all the analysis we can on the way there.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, during the whole show, you can participate. So, I mean, you, the viewers, can participate as well by using the chat on here on Twitch. And you can also use the hashtag EHF Euro 2022 on Twitter, and we might put your tweet on the feed here as well. And by using the chat, you can also participate in our big contest. As Mark said, we're going to do a watch along for the game between Germany and Norway later. And you have until the 15th minute to write your guess of the result of the game in the chat here. And whoever is right wins a signed ball from the winning team today. And everyone, of course, has only one tip. And you know what? Well, let's let's not leave it there. Let's do another giveaway. If the Home of Handball channel here on Twitch reaches 3,999 followers, then Spain jersey will be raffled amongst everyone that writes the word shirt in the chat. Then, so follow us on here, and write shirt when we hit 3,999 followers. So as Mark said, we're going to take a look at a lot of numbers today. Some of them are generated by player tracking from Kinexon. So let's take a quick look at how this works.
Excellent stuff, and you can see a couple of you starting off in the chat. So by all means, throw in any questions, any comments, anything you think we're getting wrong as well. You can get in there, and for when we have our guests, please throw any questions at them, and we'll pose them to them as they come. But first up, we're going to have a quick look at the standings from Group 1, group featuring France, Denmark, Netherlands, Iceland, Croatia, and Montenegro, to see where we are in the tournament so far.
So yeah. So go on, Mike. Go on.
No, just going through the rankings there. France and Denmark lead the way with 4 points each. Iceland and Montenegro with 2 apiece. Montenegro throwing themselves into contention after that great win against Croatia yesterday, and Croatia and Netherlands yet to have a point there. What do you make of the group so far, Julian?
Yeah, it seems like the 2 favorites that everyone had in the beginning, probably in this group, are emerging. Well, it's too bad that Iceland, and we'll talk about this, of course, in depth in a couple of seconds probably. Well, they were missing some key players yesterday against Denmark, and still put out on a great game. Yeah, and I don't think that you should count out Montenegro yet, who had a great game against Croatia yesterday as well. Yeah. So yeah, Mark, you invented a way to predict games and have predicted the final standings for this group. So, well, what do your predictions say?
So yeah, I mean, it's not a great deal of a surprise. It keeps France and Denmark towards the top, towards the end. We can see them here now. We predict them finishing on a bit over 8 points each, and then very close after that, Montenegro and Iceland. It looks like on the final day we might have a really close playoff between Montenegro and Iceland for the 3rd place and to go into the 5th, 6th place playoff. And of course, it's worth saying with the predictions, it doesn't predict maybe who gets tired, or it's based on the statistics so far. But of course, it also doesn't predict who might come down with a COVID infection, and that's of course been a big factor so far. And I think if I could, if the model could predict that, we'd be making some money.
Yeah, and especially like we Germans could have a big advantage nowadays with well, who knows who's playing, but apparently today the same players will be available that were available in the last game, as far as I've heard. Okay, so we'll be joined in a couple of seconds, I think, by Runa Sigtriksson to talk about well, Iceland a bit more in depth, but we'll also talk about Denmark, of course, who have been really on a roll so far. And yeah, it looks like Runa is here.
Yes, hello guys.
Hello, Runa.
Hi, Runa.
Nice to have you with us.
Nice to be there.
Firstly, Runa, obviously, your home nation, Iceland. What have you made of their tournament so far? What have you made of the performances that have came through a very, very competitive preliminary group, and of course, unfortunately, been struck down with a bit of COVID infections in the last days?
Well, I think we have in Iceland we doesn't have the results in the last years, but now in this tournament we had really good results. We were playing very good handball, and we were quite optimistic until the COVID struck us. But I think the game yesterday gave us a little hope that we can maybe get the 3rd place in our group.
Absolutely, and I think it's, when I looked earlier, taking out Aron Palmerson and Björgvin Gustafsson and Bjarki Ellison is almost half of the experience the national matches played on the Icelandic team that were taken out with COVID there. And of course, we see a little bit in the game yesterday. It managed to keep it a very close game but without maybe the goalkeeper performance that could have had with Björkvin Gustafsson.
Yes, it was completely without goalkeeper performance yesterday. On the other hand, Denmark had a very good goalkeeper in Müller in the second half. And our game yesterday was completely on Smarason and on the right back from Magdeburg. I forgot.
Omar
Janus,
Ingi.
Omar Ingi Magnusson. Also,
Yeah.
they were completely running our offense. Yesterday, we need a little bit more help from our left back. And then the chances we get from the corner, from the wings, they were very, we were not efficient. So I think we made one goal from eight shots. On the other hand, Denmark made 8 to 8. So if you take only the corner shots, we would maybe have been better positions in game in second half.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a lot of interesting things there, Runa, that we could go a bit deeper on. So let's take a look at an overview of the statistics themselves. What you see here is what I usually put out for, well, each game, or in this case, each team. It's an overview of the so-called advanced statistics. And yeah, we'll probably go through each a bit now, and we'll give you a bit of an explanation what each statistic means, because, well, they're probably not the usual that you always see in handball. So maybe let's start at the bottom right, because you mentioned the goalkeepers. Of course,
Yes.
yesterday Gustafsson was missing, and which has result in these numbers. You see always in white is the offensive number, or the number of Iceland, and the blue one is the number of the opponents, or of defense in this case. And of course, you see that when you look at the first one, the saves rate, that over in the tournament, of course, Iceland had a bit of a disadvantage in the goalkeepers. With less saves, and of course, yesterday's game is a factor of this. I mean, one of the 4 games they played so far was yesterday's game. Also, the other two
Yes.
goalkeeper statistics play into that effect. Net saves includes only saves that the team, so in this case Iceland, actually gets the possession afterwards. And efficiency means is based on the expected goals idea. So it compares what number would have been expected by the goalkeeper to save based on position and the position of the shot and the position where the ball goes on the goal to. And you see there as well that an average goalkeeper would have had 9.9% saves more, but also they made the opponent's team underperform a bit.
Yes, very interesting.
And
Also when we look yesterday, we in the first half, in the first 30 minutes, our goalkeepers only take 2 shots, and both were penalties from Michael Hansen. So it was difficult game. But
I agree.
And going forward now in the next games for Iceland, what I mean, you mentioned the wing shooting as well. Is apart from the wing shooting and the goalkeeper, is there any different style that you want to see from Iceland, or think they need to improve on to take third place in the group?
So I think we have to use more players in the game. It's Magnusson and Smarason is keeping the heat for the team. We need more players, and they need also a little bit pausa. I think we are playing very good. We are not. We have not many turnovers. We maybe need more shots from 9 meters, but I think our attack is okay. In defense, we lose too many situations 1 against 1, and maybe I would like to see us there a little bit more defensive, also more compact.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see from some of the statistics here that there's quite a high shot quality that comes against Iceland. So some of the teams are getting good chances against you, and also, like you said, quite efficient in attack, not giving away so many turnovers. So it's it's Julian, you had something to jump in with.
Yeah, I wanted to say exactly the same as you, Mark. So maybe Runa, while you're still here, and we mentioned now Denmark a couple of times, maybe we can take a quick look at their numbers of the tournament so far as well. And well, it's not much of a preview that their numbers are, just extremely good. Maybe of course, we've mentioned the goalkeeping numbers before for Iceland. Well, they're extremely good for Denmark here. Maybe we can take a look at the left top, the per 50 possessions, the numbers per 50 possessions, which basically means that, well, games can have a different number of possessions. Obviously, you can play fast and have many possessions, or you can slow the game down, and then game has just a few possessions. And of course, in a single game, every team has the same amount of possessions. And just playing fast or slow, of course, doesn't mean that you're good on offense or good on defense. You can score not so many goals, but you can be good on offense. But if the game is slow paced, by the way, you see the pace number, which is the number of possessions on the match structure on the bottom left. So to compare teams fairly, some may have many possessions, some may have just very few possessions. One fair way to do that is to calculate each number per 50 possessions. Then you have the basis of both of every team is the same. And
Yes.
well, you see here that Denmark has, when you look at goals, which is the easiest way then to compare good offense or good defense, Denmark is amongst the top teams in offense with great 31.1 goals per 50 possessions. And of course, extremely well on defense with just 22.5 goals conceded per 50 possessions. And well, the numbers below show pretty much the same, that they're just good themselves in offense and very good in defense as well.
So these numbers tell us that they're going to win the tournament, or?
There are a couple of teams that have good numbers as well, but until now, they're probably my favorites, I would say. What do you think?
Yes, I think they're playing pretty good. And yesterday, I don't think they played with whole power. They keep their 4-2 goals, and I heard in one timeout that the coach was unhappy that every time they got 4 goals away, then they keep losing their mind and do some stupid things, and he was trying to keep them focused on the game and try to finish it. So I think when they, after 35 minutes, when they realized they had the game, they were not playing with full power.
Of course.
We saw a little bit Iceland were able to keep close, even without much of a goalkeeper performance. But what area of or potential weakness do you see with Denmark? Do you see, an area where some of the teams could take advantage of them, or are they just good all round? Is there not much weaknesses to show at the moment?
There are not much weaknesses to show, but I think in the defense, I think for example, Mølgaard, he's slow. So I think if you isolate him and attack him, it's give you opportunities to go through the defense. And they are not all complete. They have great goalkeepers, not only those two, but 2 others also. So, but I think you can attack their defense. They are not the best defense in the tournament. In attack, they have many players. They perform very good, and that's the problem.
All right. Thank you, Runa, for your insight. It's always interesting to hear from both former player for Iceland and coach as well, Bundesliga. But I have one last question for you. We are doing the watch along later for Germany versus Norway, and the person that guesses the correct result until the 15th minute in our chat here on Twitch wins a signed ball by the winning team. So, what is your guess for the result today? Maybe you can win the signed ball.
German will win 27-26.
All right, we'll see if that happens. So
Maybe.
Thank you again, and well, see you. And
yes, thank you guys.
bye.
Keep up the good
Thank
work.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Right.
So, Mark, next up we have the Netherlands, which were one of the surprises of the preliminary round, and you took a deeper dive into them. But maybe in the meantime, let me maybe just answer one question that I saw in the chat. The question was how the expected goals are calculated, and we're doing this currently on a mix of what's coming out of the usual play-by-play that you get and the data from Kinexon that we showed you the video in the beginning. And maybe we have a bit more time to talk about that during the game later. So yeah, let's look at Netherlands numbers.
Yeah, so I think what was really interesting with the Netherlands, of course, I think they surprised a lot of people, and they gave us some incredible matches and made, I think a lot of people were predicting Hungary to go quite far in the tournament, and of course they're no longer there. But the Netherlands, one of the really interesting things that we wanted to look at was how they adapted their tempo and their possession length. We have a short video here, and we're going to show some of the clips from Hungary versus the Netherlands in the opening game, and then we're going to kind of talk a little bit about how that contributed to the upset, if we can call it that.
Yeah, just maybe one thing in the bottom left. So talking about pace is the number of possessions that you have per game. Netherlands is, as you can see, the bar is very wide, a lot to the right side, and the cross possession length themselves is very short, both for Netherlands themselves and for their opponents. So they, on both sides, pretty much they speed up the game. So yeah, let's see what you found for during the first game.
So a lot of the clips that we're seeing here is obviously even after Hungary scored, the speed in which Netherlands attacked afterwards. But the interesting moment here is some of them that they don't take a shot, but the speed in which they're arriving down the court. When you're an underdog team or a team that's trying to beat a maybe higher ranked opponent, some of the key factors that you want is a high. Obviously, you want to score the easiest chances you can, a high shot quality. But the highest shot quality is also normally the fast breaks and the easier chances. The other thing you want is to make the game as short as possible. And by that, we mean a slower pace, fewer attacks, but that means often having a longer possession length. So maybe you can get the better shots then, but obviously you're not going to get the fast breaks and some of the chances like that in that stage. But what we've got some other graphs that will show this afterwards, but what Netherlands did really well is sped up very quickly, but we're able to run straight away after the restart to score quick chances there. And we saw in a couple of the earlier clips that although they go very quickly, and they get these chances, sometimes they just stop and they wait. And we'll see coming up on some of the graphs, I'll explain that a little bit more. But what's also important to recognize here is that on the Hungarian right side, they were trying to change the right wing. So Lekai could come and defend over on the right wing position. And then they were also trying to change another player in the middle, which wasn't always possible because of the speed they started after the game, after the goal. So when they come very quickly down the court, they're able to prevent these changes. And we saw towards the end of the game some 5-1 from Hungary with Rodriguez the right wing on the front position, and I don't know if that would have been their ideal plan or whether that was something they were fixing. Of course, they were playing against Luke Steins 1v1 in this area, and you can see here on the chart the blue bars are the Netherlands, the amount of shots they took in every 10-second interval of their attack, and the white bars are the average from every team. And we can see the blue bar is very high in the first 10 seconds, a lot of chances on the fast break. And then the biggest areas are from 20 and 30 seconds onwards. Almost very few shots in this middle area, 20, 30 seconds in the middle of attack, but a great deal more than the average at the end of the attack. And so, like we were saying, or I was trying to explain during the video, a lot of good chances at the beginning of the attack, and then waiting to stretch the game out and make it longer towards the end. The other thing that was interesting, and just to compare it a little bit with their final match of the group, they played against Portugal. The guys over at the Uninformed Handball Hour had a bit of an impromptu chat with Bobby Cheyenne, and he mentioned in that game how they wanted to run against Portugal and keep the tempo high. And we see, I think we have the chart for it, but we see with here we are in these. This is a comparison of the two games. The white bars are the match against Hungary, and the blue bars are the match against Portugal. And we see how many more shots they were taking earlier in the attack, and how many fewer they were taking towards the end of attack. And so, it's to highlight, one of the teams that we've seen so far, an interesting case in the Netherlands, because we haven't seen so much of them at a major championship before, and how we suspect they might be adjusting the style based on the possession length. And the first game against Hungary was, almost a perfect example of how to upset a higher ranked team. And I keep calling it an upset, but of course they're in the main round, they've earned their place, and Hungary aren't. So maybe it wasn't an upset after all, but it was, something that maybe we weren't expecting on day one.
Yeah. And as Dr. Hansi's question on the chat is if there's an indication on successful shots in terms of possession length. So, well, it depends. Usual very short possession length means that you get a lot of fast breaks. Fast breaks are one of the highest percentage shots that you can get. So yes, on the one side it does. But besides that, there is no real correlation. And one thing that you often see is when very good teams play very bad teams, that the good team has very fast possessions, and the bad team has very long possessions. And you see that a bit when we look at the next team at France. They themselves have very short possessions, and and their opponents have way longer possessions. It's just a sign that they're very good and that they get easily good shots, while their opponents take longer. And of course, that's also because France's defense is just good. You see that they have amazing goalkeeper keeping numbers, and their goals per 50 possessions are the lowest number of the tournament. So the defense is just very, very good.
I think, just to add on there to answer any question, there's not necessarily it depends how the teams are set up to play. Is kind of what I've seen in the statistics. That if when teams want to play quickly and they're put under pressure by a better defense and they're having to wait longer and longer into the attack and passive play comes and things like this, then that's when maybe the numbers go down a bit. But in the case of the Netherlands, and I remember seeing it in the Women's European Championships last year when Croatia did well and got a bronze medal. They were playing very slow, but they designed a style of play to take these shots towards the end of an attack. So they were effective at it because it was kind of their plan. So it does differ a little bit team to team.
Yeah, and I'm kind of sorry that we can't answer every question right now because there are so many coming and we have like a kind of strict schedule right now. But during the game, we'll have enough time to go in depth on your questions. So yeah, let's maybe jump over Montenegro and Croatia. I'll do a bit on them on social media. You can follow me on at Hand Politics everywhere. Then let's go right into Group 2, the current standings of the second group of the main round.
This, of course, we're in play today with Group 2, and it's a much tighter group than Group 1. We see Spain now on 6 points, I think, actually, with their win earlier on today against Russia, a very narrow win. And then again today, and Sweden, obviously on 4 points after beating Poland. Norway, Germany probably looks like a game that's going to propel one team towards, well, if Norway win, it looks like they'll be going towards a decisive, almost quarterfinal match in the last round of the last match of the main round against Sweden, which would be a great game to see, or Germany, of course, as Runa predicted earlier, might win by just the odd goal, and of course that opens up the group a great deal again. What's especially with your German hat on, Julian? How are you feeling about the group?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's okay, but of course the game against Norway today is going to be crucial if there's a chance to go to the semifinal. And yeah, or at least one of the crucial games. There are going to be a couple more after that if they win this game. So let's take a quick look at the predictions that you made, Mark.
Yeah, and as I was alluding to there, I mean, it looks very close all the way to the end. Spain with a bit of an advantage. Norway and Sweden, I have to say, when simulate the individual games, is almost a 50-50 toss of a coin on the final round of matches. So that could go either way. And obviously we have Sweden and Germany to come the day after tomorrow, which would be, I mean, it's going to be that sort of little table of three teams. Of course, is going to prove the winner, but it could be three draws, it could be three. They're so evenly matched by the statistics. I think we saw yesterday from Norway more of a performance which is more like what we expect from them, more pace, higher tempo, much better shot quality. And that, if they carry on playing like that, and I think that's what the model is suggesting, that they might just have the edge. But it's very, very close call, and a couple of tosses of a coin, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So, well, let's not talk too much about the standings or predictions. Let's go into the details. First, we are looking at today's game between Spain and Russia, which was a nail-biter, which Spain won by 1 goal in the end after Russia missed a penalty shot at the buzzer beater, or at the buzzer, which was given after video review. And to analyze that a bit more in depth, we are joined by Ike Kotrina, who is a coach in Switzerland and assistant coach for the Chilean national team, but also, of course, he's Spanish, so he has a lot of insight on the Spanish team. Hi, Ike.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Ika. And first of all, what were your thoughts of the game today?
Yeah, I think it was a difficult game for Spain because also this time they played 2 games in 20 hours, and yeah, I think it was a little handicap for the Spanish team. Yeah, eh, for me, it was a very big surprise. They didn't change the defense in the halftime about Spain, I talk. And also for me I was really surprised because they didn't take the timeout. Also in the crucial situation, goals behind, or for me. Was a special game, but at the same time, they did a great job, and at the end, they did it. Also, I think the referees did a great job. The last situation, I think, is penalty, is 7 meters. It's not. Also, when you watch it live, the referee start this movement to whistle penalty and later stop and say this finish, and later we watch on the TV, and yeah, at the end I think it was a good decision, but yeah, Spain had this luck, but yeah, you have to be in this situation to have this luck.
Yeah, in the end, it was luck. And when you look at the statistics here, both teams were, well, relatively even matched, I would say. Well, what especially sticks out is the goalkeeping, which was great on both sides. For Spain, it were actually both keepers, Rodrigo Corrales and Gonzalo Perez de Vargas, had both great numbers. And well, for the Russians, Viktor Kirev with 37.5 save percentage was very good as well. As you can see, the bars are well, very far on the right side.
Yeah, I think the level from both Spanish players are really high. Also, for me, it's incredible. In the moment that Rodrigo didn't save 2 or 3 in a row, they changed with a very high percent, and they changed. And later come Gonzalo and really fast 2 3 balls, and at the end this chain was very important for this comeback. And also, for example, I think is another one for draw, or +1 for Russia, and is the line player in the right side, and is also a save from Gonzalo. But it's also true that Kirev had also a really great game.
Looking at, Spain obviously winners in 2020, and they've gone on now. I think it's 17 wins in a row in the EHF Euro. What do you see their chances going forward? We're predicting them to win the group, to go on and to win first place in this group. How do you see them in potentially matching up in the semi-finals against Denmark or France, possibly from the other side? Do you see parts of their game which will match them, or do you see potential weaknesses where they might struggle?
Yeah, not the problem, but it's also true that Spain is in a new moment with new players that they have in and take responsibility. And until now, the situation, I think, is going on and is good, and they are doing a good job with some mistakes, but they have to work, and they have to try, and they have to learn. And I think the next game against Norway could be a good example. Could happen in a semi-final. I think with this game against Poland, you have to wait another results, but you have maybe a step close to the semifinal, but later you will play against teams maybe more experienced, but also we are in a situation that maybe you can think today about Denmark and France, and the game is another one because you have 2 or 3 players with COVID, or they have not another 2. They have new players or another 2. It's a difficult moment. I think Spain, the goal was semifinal. I think it's really close. And later if you are close to something really nice like a medal, you will do your 100%. But the Spain is a new team or a lot of new players, and you never know.
And looking now at Spain's overall numbers before today's game, one thing that we mentioned a lot was the goalkeeping today, and looking at the numbers before today's game, the goalkeeping so far wasn't that great. So today might have been the coming out party for the 2 goalkeepers, and if they can keep up that, I think that Spain, semi-finals should be at least possible for them.
I think so. Also, at the end today, for example, the difference in game result is 1 goal, and I think the difference in saves is also 1 save, more for Spain. Or I think Gonzalo and Rodrigo have this level, you can beat everybody. But also this record, before we talk about this 17 games, is just it's nice to have this record, but cannot be a goal. Maybe against Norway you can lose, or maybe I hope not, but semi-final or final. But could be nice if Spain is the first team that win the Euro 3 times in a row.
That would be good.
I think the experience is there, and the games are there. I think that maybe helps them in some of these final. They were 1 or 2 goals back from Russia for a lot of the games today, but able to turn it in the last 5 minutes. I think with the somebody mentioning in the chat there, Jordi, the coaching, Ribera's been there and done it all a million times, and a lot of the players have. And I think I saw Daniel Sarmiento is being called in to replace one of the COVID players, and these players who have been there for years and years and years can help you get through these games, and especially help the young players that to learn these things. So it's like you say, maybe it doesn't win you or give you any goals or give you any points, but it can certainly help with the experience towards the big moments and the big matches.
That's a point. If Cañellas can come back, or Dani Sarmiento plays, is another situation. For example, today I had exactly the same thought today during the game. Or the last 2 minutes when Spain was leading the game, and another ball they didn't score, and timeout, and in this moment I thought, with Cañellas or Dani Sarmiento, it should be another situation. But at the end, they could do it today. But the next game, or Norway, or semifinals, could be another situation. And as you say, and I think for Spain it's very important to have 2 players, or at least 1 player like Sarmiento or Cañellas. For us also, Tarrafeta did really great first games, and could be good if he could come back.
All right. The game is soon going to start in 1 minute. So thank you, Ike, for your insight. And of course, I have one last question for you as well. We are doing the watch along now for Germany versus Norway, and the person that guesses the correct result until the 15th minute in our chat here on Twitch wins a signed ball by the winning team. So everyone, now it's time to put in your predictions for the game. And Ike, what is your guess for the result?
Can I bet for Norway, or is a problem for you?
For me, maybe, but Mark is living in Norway, is coaching in Norway, so it's today. Today it's about
Well, I
a
know.
rivalry between us. But
Okay. I think 26-29 for Norway.
okay, interesting. We'll see. Maybe you'll be the one that wins the ball. So, thank you for being our guest, Ike, and see you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your invitation.
Thanks.
Ciao, ciao.
Wow.
All right. So the anthems and the anthem of Norway is currently being played. So it's time for, of course, every one of you at home. Put the game on your TV, leave us open on your second screen, and we'll do a watch along during the game. We of course now have more time for your to answer your questions, and of course we'll have two guests. One is Bent Dahl in the first half, and in the second half, Martin Strobel will join. So, with the predictions, I guess it's time now, Mark, for your prediction as well, because you've shown your model a couple of times for the overall results. Now, what does your model say on this game?
Yeah, well, we should be able to get. Here we go. Well, of course, we can't score 0.6 of a goal, but I'll be saying 33-29 in favour of Norway to Germany. As I said, I think it's for Norway. They seem to be improving, creating a little bit of form. The predictions and the model showed this sort of an uptick in their level after the match yesterday. So I think that's kind of where this is going. A couple of the key statistics, which I think will be interesting to look out for, would be the turnover battle, especially in Germany's attack and Norway's defence. Germany have been very very efficient so far in the tournament. In terms of not giving the ball away, they've been making the most of their possessions. They've been able to take quite a lot of shots, but as have Norway. But defensively, Norway have forced more turnovers than Germany have, and the model suggests here that Norway will probably just about win that battle. And then the second area is the goalkeeper efficiency. Germany haven't been forcing the opponent's goalkeepers to perform so much below their level, whereas the Norwegian goalkeepers have performed quite well, and they look to be quite efficient there, or looks to be the chance that they'll be efficient. And so I think that's the other thing to look out for, some saves from Norway from maybe the 6 meter areas, the breakthroughs to fast breaks, saves in that sort of situation. I think will be key to Norway. So they're kind of my two tips on two areas to look out for in the game as well.
Yeah, I agree. And for as the game has started now, Germany is leading with 2 goals. If you don't know where you can watch the game, you can go to eurohandball.com/TV-guide, where you find where you can watch the game in your country. Maybe let's go a bit more in the beginning in detail for Germany. Let's look at their numbers a bit. because, well, you already mentioned that, well, both teams have good offensive numbers, and we see it for Germany here as well. I think up until the last game, which they lost, they had the best offensive numbers, which of course might be because they didn't have the hardest group so far. But we'll see later that Norway has very good offensive numbers as well. So I guess we'll see just a very good offensive game today with a lot of goals.
I think that's
Of
one
course,
of the other
depending
things.
Sorry,
one of
also the a lot of goals go things depends, of course, what the pace of the game will be, which might not be the highest, but yeah, we'll see.
I think that's kind of one of the other important things is that it can be a little bit difficult maybe to judge the form of some of these teams. Of course, we talked a little bit earlier about how Netherlands have played a very tough group with Iceland, Portugal, and Hungary, and almost every game was separated by just 1 or 2 goals. It's hard for then, some of the other groups where they've been more comfortable, or they've won or they've already qualified before the final round of games. They can change players. That can affect the numbers a little bit as well. So we have to also kind of see a little bit what's where the teams are and what their what their form is, and that's starting to show a little bit. We've seen it maybe a little bit with Poland in some of the first 1 or 2 matches of the main round now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, of course, for Germany, it's always hard to to use these numbers in general because, well, the team that played the first games, there's not so much left currently um, on the team because of, well, I guess everybody knows with the COVID cases Germany had.
Yeah, of course, that's another big factor that you maybe not quite got the same teams on the floor, and especially with Germany, they've had to change so many. It's and that possibly also feeds into the turnover battle that we were talking about. Just I know these are all world-class players, but the familiarity, these players didn't have so many warm-up games to play as well, and now all of a sudden they're getting thrown into a competition that they hadn't prepared with the team for as well. So some of those things might just be a lack of familiarity, having to jump in the middle of a competition.
Yeah. So maybe let's now take a look at Norway. Well, they have very good, even a bit better offensive numbers than Germany, and a bit better defensive numbers as well for Germany. But what I think is interesting is that both have, well, rather low turnover numbers. So, well, this is going to be a factor, of course, today if they can keep this up, and of course the quality of their offense. Well, this is the foundation of the quality of their offense, I would say. Also, what's interesting is that Norway has very short possessions. They well, run a lot of fast breaks, as in the chat. Well, beep, prima cheap, great name, mentioned that Germany will have to slow down the tempo in this one and stop the fast breaks. Yep, that's exactly one of the points that they have to do, while we're seeing here Rune Damke currently finishing a fast break.
Yeah, that was one of the things that they were mentioning on, especially in some of the TV in Norway, how the pace picked up very much from the game against Russia. I think we also seen Russia were able to keep Spain down to quite a slow tempo today. That's the Russian style. They were able to sort of dictate that tempo and play the style of game that they wanted to. And we can see Christian O'Sullivan on screen there. He's very important to increasing the pace of the Norwegian attack and keeping that going. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares today. Obviously plays his club handball in Germany.
Yeah, where he's also like the key for their second wave fast breaks as a great defender, and then as the central back, or the playmaker on their second wave fast breaks. So I think it's time for our next guest now. I already see him on the screen. Bent Dahl, of course, coach himself and Norwegian, well, of course, an expert on the Norwegian team, is joining us. Hi, Bent.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be in your show and join some handball nerds. So for me, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us, Bent. And of course, you're currently, I believe, in France preparing for a match with your club Valcher tomorrow in the European League. But as Julian said, of course, you're Norwegian, and here is our Norwegian expert at the moment. So, what have been your thoughts on Norway so far in the competition?
To be honest, I have been very disappointed about the first games. They struggle a lot to find the right rhythm and have to say their own DNA. It was not look like they were playing their own game. The first match was the second half of Lithuania. There you start to see something, and of course against Poland, but Poland is a little bit falling apart. So I say that of course we score over 40 goals, and they look more sharper. So, but we will see. They have a team today, and of course they are favorites. And Germany now they have everything to win because of all these COVID situation thing, and they can play a little bit more free. And I'm not sure about these games, so it will be tough. They have to win against Germany and Sweden to go the next step. So we will see.
What if you were to see Norway win today? What main characteristic? You've talked about their DNA and how they maybe struggled to find it in some of the early matches. What part of that do you think we need to see from Norway to win?
Oh, they have to continue to be compact in defense. They have to have more saves because if not, they will struggle. And of course, the second thing is to find the good rhythm, and it's not about rhythm, but also find the balance between how to say the shooting from distance and the breakthroughs. Because in the beginning of the championship, they didn't manage to fix it well. So I want to see more aggressivity and they more fight into the space because Norway need to do it. They have players like O'Sullivan and Sagosen, and they need to step up in these kind of games. So yeah, we will see. Aggressive defense, running. It's the how to see the key point, and of course to find a little bit better rhythm in attack. So we will see. They struggle now, so Germany are in lead. So we will see what's happened. We will see.
and what about some of the other players from Norway? Obviously, we know, like you mentioned there, Sander Sagosen, Christian O'Sullivan.
I'm very, how to say, satisfied with Bartol, the left wing. For me, maybe not a prize, but because he has been very good in Champions League, one of the best players in Aalborg in Denmark. But so far, he has been very sharp. So I'm very satisfied with him. Rankin always deliver good. He's a don't misunderstand me, but a simple player, but he always do his job 100%. So these two guys is also important. Is how to say this team, and I like what I see so far.
So as we're reaching the 15th minute now, it's the 12th minute right here on our screen. I have one question for you, Bent. Of course, we're doing a big giveaway today that the person that guesses in the chat the right result of the game until the 15th minute can win a signed ball by the team that wins, or will win a signed ball by the team that wins today's game. So what is your guess on today's game? Who will win and what will the result be?
I have to follow my heart. So for me, Norway will win, and they will struggle in the first half. They will run away in the second and win by 5. So they will win 32-27. That's my guess for the
Okay.
game today.
Okay, well, so as I'm a German myself, of course, I have to say something against that. So I'll say
Of course.
29-28 for Germany.
Okay. Yeah, we will see.
So
As I said, follow my heart, but we will see in the
yeah,
end.
I've done the same.
If it will be, but I will follow you. If it will be close to the end of this game, as I said, so I feel that when all this trouble Germany has in this tournament, they can play with quite relaxed shoulder. They don't have any pressure. They can just play, and they put some young players. This Köster, fantastic young guy coming up, and what to do. So in the end, if it will be close, maybe you are more right than me. But I hope the last 15 that the Norwegian team can use their power to run a little bit, because if they will fight 6 against 6 against a German team, I'm not sure they. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and in terms of the tournament for Norway, what do you, or what is maybe the expectation in Norway for the overall finish? Do they have to get to the semi-finals? If they don't make the semi-finals, is that considered a failure, or what are the expectations in Norway?
Yes. They. It's not easy to go through to a semi-final, but if you see this team, and they are not how to say they didn't have big problems with the COVID in this tournament. They have their team all the way, and of course, if they don't take semi-final, I will also say it's a failure for sure. They have fight for medals now for a good period, but we will see. Maybe not, but if you ask me, it's a failure if they don't go to the semi-final.
And we have, obviously missing a couple of key pieces, Magnus Rule and Goran Johansson. But we've seen some good kind of, you mentioned Barthold one, but some breakout performances from Eric Toft and from Sander number 2. What have you made of their sort of input into the team? And, are players like that without having to rely on Sander Sagosen and Christian O'Sullivan, are these players that can come off the bench and need to be important for Norway to do well?
Yeah, they have to bring something into the team, but they cannot. They are not at the moment. They are not players to have to turn the match. I think it's a little bit too early for Sander too, as you said. It's a little bit early, but he's a player for the future. Toft, it's a target with a good shooting level, but. I think Norway, in the big picture, they have to trust their first lineup, and they have to do the job, because the other guys cannot turn this at the moment.
No,
I have to be honest. The level is, they are the way up, but in these circumstances, you have to have the best players who are in the regular playing top level games. if you want to win medals in Euro. So yeah, it's quite simple in one way, but it's tough. You have to have the biggest guns on the court.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. It's always I'm always kind of confused because we hear you talking, but the visual doesn't match. So you're faster. What you're saying is faster than the video that we're seeing of you. So that's
Okay.
because we're kind of confused sometimes, but no
Okay.
problem. And of course, maybe some explanation for our viewers. What they're seeing on the screen now as well is on the left side, is the dashboard from Kinexon. Kinexon, as you said, as you saw in the beginning, has well, every player has a chip in the back of his jersey, or wears a vest under it. And in the ball, there's a small chip as well. And through that, there's a lot of data that's collected. And one example is the shot tracker that you're seeing here, where for every shot you see the speed, the distance, and well, where it hits on the goal. You can see that as well.
And of course, when you see the score number, the sixth goal of Norway with the ranking, of course, then you can see the power. So you need to have this kind of power. I cannot. The numbers is a little bit small because I have to use my phone, so I'm a little bit sorry. So, and I'm passing 50, so my eyes is also start to be a little bit start to be confusing. But so if you can tell me some of the numbers, it's okay to comment them. It's so
Yeah. One moment, I'll open them up for me on the bigger screen because on our screen we have multiple views, probably the same as you are, so more than the viewer has. But I've opened it up on my other notebook. So, for example, yeah, Reinkind was 109.8 kilometers per hour from 8.6 meters distance.
So you know.
Yeah, but the missed shot now by Dux was even faster with 120.3 kilometers per hour. But well, it was missed. So speed or
You cannot
speed
count if you
it's
miss,
not
but
everything.
no, it's not. But Paul Drux, of course, he's a power machine. So if he hit the goal with this kind of speed, it's always dangerous. But you know, hit the goal, it's maybe the key. But of course, now I'm also look a little bit at the game when we are speaking, and at the moment, I think, of course, Norway lead by one, but so far, I think Germany also get how to say good contact. But we will see. Now, I said they will be tight, maybe for the first half, but I hope we can see the guys can run a little bit more. It's not always about you can see the speed of shooting, but also the running power. It's interesting with all this statistic. You can see the speed of running and how much they are running. It's also important because if we were talking about the DNA of Norway, they need to run. They need to be fast. So. It will be interesting to see in the end if we compare Germany and Norway.
And just
Yeah.
obviously, you're mentioning their statistics, and in your day-to-day work in Valchea and with the Romanian national team, what are you working with in ways of statistics, or what kind of are there new things you're working with, new types of statistics, or is it mainly the
No,
things that we see on the
no.
play-by-plays?
I
Or
don't. I don't use anything new statistic. I use a lot of video analyzing, and of course, I use also how to say normal statistic. But if I had more money for my team, I will have this Kinoxon to have because it's very useful data, and all this kind of data it's all, yeah, how to say, in the handball at the moment, it's very useful because you use more in the training and then you are using in match because all this data you collect with every games has to be used in the training. So for me, now in my club team, for example, I use all the video statistic, all the facts, what we do in the training. Everything is based on this. Facta, it's never lie. So I use this, how to say, statistic up with the video analyzing. And this is very important when you speak also to the players, but also when you do your daily training, as you said. It's very important for me because in my team we run a lot. We run in phase 2, and we also attack with the full team in fast throw off, if we can speak this in the English version. But for me, I want to see this. Okay, and then it tell me that we also need to be more physical prepared. So my physical coach is also a key in this statistic. You know, so when we do our job, we always speak about what we want to do in the matter of trainings, because the facts in games will always, how to say, make it the grounds for every training and exercises and what we do. So for me, it's very useful. I use it all the time. So for me, it's a daily base.
We just
Yeah,
had
and
a
what you mentioned there at the beginning, Bent, I think is one of the bigger problems in handball, that there's just not enough data available. Especially
Yeah.
maybe right now during the EHF Euro, which is a bigger competition, there is more, but of course for smaller competitions, well, it's just not
No,
available.
not that. Yeah, this is the problem. If you compare us with basketball, for example, basketball, it's far
Yeah.
away from handball in the positive direction. If you see the, how to say, everything they have in statistic, it's amazing. So we need to step up in handball, but it's not easy. Just one club cannot do it. We need to have more clubs. We need to have more federations, you know, to take part of this statistic, because if we can have more teams, clubs, federations in a cooperation, we will have more interesting handball. Also for the people are watching, because when they see a lot of things, they will also be more interested in what we are doing. So I think it's a win-win situation if we can bring this more up for everybody. It's not just for the, how to say, the richest clubs or whatever, because it's okay, you use it in Europe, but so what? It's interesting, but I cannot use it because I don't have the same opportunity for my club, for example. So, but we will see in the end. It's a priority, of course.
We've
and I think that's
we've had a sorry, we've had a question in here,
that's
and
yeah, go on, Mike.
We so the question is, do you prefer having stats on your own team to analyze? I mean, obviously you talked about the physical stuff there and the running and so on, which is obviously going to be more about your own team. But you know, statistics on the opponent teams as well. Obviously, it's going to be more numbers based on scores or previous games and things like that. Is there? Do you do much with that outside of what we might expect?
I do a lot. I do also analyzing a lot for my opponents, because it create my play. So if I see, for example, a team are not running good home, and you can see it match after match that they are tired, or they not run with the same tempo in different part of the games, it's an advantage for us. So in my game plans, it's always based on also our opponent. It's okay to use statistic in my trainings, but information for me, it's also about the opponent. So it's how to say both ways. I need for preparation of games, but also for my own training. So I want to see also facts from others.
So maybe it's now time with over 20 minutes played to take a first look at some stats. Both teams are currently at 56% shot efficiency or shooting efficiency, which is, well, about 10 percentage points less than they usually had in the tournament so far. So it's not yet the very efficient offensive game that we've talked about before. And another thing that I found interesting is that the possessions of Norway are a bit longer right now than Germany's. According to the tracking data of Kinexon, Norway had 51% ball possession and Germany 41%, which is also not the same that we had in the tournament so far, but where it was rather Germany that had a bit longer possessions and slowed the game more down. But, well, of course, with Germany, with always changing players, well, it's hard to read much from the data of the previous games.
Of course, it's very different and also difficult to read. But if we compare with Norway, for example, against Poland, the first 20 minutes against Poland, the Norwegian team has a lot of counterattacks. They run, they have very fast, how to say, play, and they score 21 goals in the first half, and now they are down to 10. So it's very, how to say, different game pictures. And I think Germany has done a good job. They don't allow Norway to run too much. So this to put the tempo down, it's maybe clever. We will see, as I said, in the second half. They need to have an advantage. If Norway cannot run, they have a problem. So we will see.
Yeah, and that was a big factor yesterday. Christian Bjornsson and Sebastian Barthold were both two of the top scorers, and I think they had 9 out of 9 from fast breaks yesterday, and they'd only had about the same amount in the whole preliminary round. And we can see so far that Barthold's just 1 goal from the 7-meter line, and Christian Bjornsson has just had chances from the wing. So it's definitely need to, a little bit more pace is certainly in Norway's DNA, as you
It was a
mentioned
little
earlier.
yeah, it's a little bit funny because when we are speaking about it, then Bartol has 1 contra goal and Björnsson also scored from his wing position. So maybe we can continue to speak and we will see more of these actions.
They can hear us. We do.
Maybe
This
we have a
it's being
karma to
broadcast
send.
straight to the bench. So
But it's true. If now maybe we can see something because now it's 3 goals up for Norway and they also score some more. How to say, these easy goals? They cannot fight 6 against 6 all the time, so they need to get advantage to run and get some air between the goals because this is important. Because I think Germany will be also very tired to go 1 against 1 and have this powerful game all the way. But okay, I like this young German Koster, and now it's a very powerful young guy. So for me, very nice to see one guy from the second Bundesliga go in to take this stage like he. So it's also good for something, this COVID. So maybe
Yeah,
we
he's
will
a
see
very
some.
interesting player.
Yeah,
Very
he
interesting
is,
player, and I
and
think that Alfred Gislason said about him that he's like the most talented young German player currently. So, well, it looks good that Gummersbach gets relegated to the first division next season. So hopefully we see him in the Bundesliga next year, play against the elite competition as he does well right now.
Yeah, he
And
has a
you
good coach.
mentioned,
He has a good, he has a good coach in Gummersbach, so he will for sure develop more. So we will see.
yeah, you mentioned easy goals as well, and I think that in the game, that's one thing that we're seeing in the game so far is that a couple of backcourt players don't have the best shooting numbers right now so far. With Sargosen just 2 goals and 6 shots. Stutzke 1 of 3. Yeah, I think Drux is 0 for 2. Yeah, so the couple backcourt players have struggled a bit and are probably the cause that, or the reason why the shooting numbers aren't that high currently.
No, I saw just now, Erik Toft make a score from 10 meters, but I will say something. In this case, Norway never win if their level of shooting from 9 and outside is so low. They don't win games. They have to win games to have more, how to say, 6-meter shots, because you can go also from the beginning of this tournament, but you can also take the last tournament, that if Sander is not hitting the goal, Norway don't win. So they need to have the level of shooting up, because Norway, if the first game or something, it was we were talking about 56, but they have more or less 30% of shots from the distance they score, and that's not good enough, you know. So on this level, you will never win. So they have a
Yeah,
very bad outcome. Mhm.
the backcourt shots are very interesting for Norway because Patrick Rowlands posted on Twitter that Berge said before the game against Russia that Norway lost, that it's important to not shoot too much from 9 meters because Russia wants that, and they did exactly that, and lost the game because they missed so many shots from 9 meters. So it's
Yeah, but
they
it's not just of course, but it's not just about the shooting. It's also what you do in front of the shooting. I don't think they miss a lot, but they also tempo in all the movements in front of situation. It's not good. You know, the tempo regulation in crossing play, how they manage to put their nose into the shit and make how to say, the space better for shooting is also one of the parameters. So I think if you compare Norway with Iceland, for example, I will now talking about, for example, against Hungary. You see how the Icelandic players, they move the ball and they really speed up when they do to make situation for the backcourt players, because Iceland is not a big team. They but very powerful when they manage to keep the ball with speed combined with the clean crosses. I call it a little bit clean. You don't make this the passes has to be fast and you have to have good timing, and then we can also talk about the distance shooting. It's not just about shooting, I think, but also to create good situations.
Yeah, and we see with some of the stats from Norway throughout the competition that their shot quality overall, their number has been lower than normal. It's about I think an average percentage of about 59%, whereas a lot of the other teams you mentioned there, Iceland and Denmark and France, or not France, Denmark, are closer to 64 or 65%. And that all comes into it, that you're not able to create the spaces. I noticed Glenn Stolberg before Sweden and played Russia talked about having the width in the game and the chances and the opening up the Russian defense to be able to attack between the first and second defenders. And that all comes from, as you were talking about, the speed and the movement and the crossing and the other parts of the attack game.
Yeah, because if you cannot how to say open the doors, you will have problems. You need to be wide. You know, you need to have the right combination and also make this 2 against 2 situation to be more efficient. So so I'm a little bit afraid of how what the Norwegian team have done so far, because if you compare it with Denmark, France, also Spain. I see this is the top nations, and of course Sweden today they start also to look a little bit better. So this will be a very tough, how to say, end of the tournament. So if Norway don't put up the level, they will not have a chance for sure. But they
All
have
right.
capacity to do it. Yeah.
All right. We have reached halftime now. So we take a short break, about 10 minutes. So thank you, of course, Bent, for being our first guest today and for giving us your insight, and hopefully see you soon.
Thank you to be part of it. So keep going, and we will win the second half.
I'm not so sure about that. Bye.
Oh, bye.
Thank you. And welcome back, everybody, to the second half, or very soon the second half of our featured game, Norway versus Germany. We can see the chat is going well. Lots of requests for you to come back, Julian. So
Yeah, Mark,
to
can
you.
you maybe read the names of the people that are requesting me, because
who have we got?
I can't read them
Zap
myself.
Fleketchler, Zip Fleketchler, 91. That's about as good as I can do, I think.
And I have an interesting handball story about Zepfle Ketzle, which is a friend of mine. He's actually a distant relative of Austrian lineman or line player Tobias Wagner. So too bad that we're not talking about Austria today. He would be probably very interesting and would have some good questions on him, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, but let's get back to the game itself. As the game is now back, and maybe we can talk a bit about the statistics of the first half. Because, well, yeah, then we don't have a graphic, but it doesn't matter. I just can talk about it a bit here. So what's interesting is that the expected goals numbers for Norway are far higher than for Germany, which the result of that is, of course, the reason for that. It's a result of that their turnover numbers, Germany's, are way higher, and that has been one of good point. Germany of an advantage so far in the tournament, but they're having problems today. And another thing that we're seeing is that the goalkeeping on both sides is very good so far. Both goalkeepers are doing very good jobs, and also the possession length or the pace itself is if you calculate it on the whole game, is to be around 50 or 52, because, well, it's a prediction right now. So that's the reason for why there's a difference of 2 number of possession. Usually that's not possible, or in the end it won't be possible. Yeah. So the other topics, I guess we mentioned a bit. The shooting is a bit down, but it's not too bad. 60% for both teams, around about, still okay number. But of course, with the good goalkeeping, the shooting percentages are a bit down.
Yeah, but I think that's some of the areas that we talked about before the game as well, that the turnover battle would be key, and also maybe the goalkeeper efficiency. So, I mean, I think we can see that the German goalkeeper, Jürgen Bitter, they've both been performing to a good level. It's keeping them involved, it's keeping them close. But it could be that turnover. I mean, as we're predicting here, an extra 5 or 6 turnovers, extra 5 or 6 fewer shots. We can see Norway also having a couple of second chances with the offensive rebounds as well, that could prove crucial in a game where there doesn't seem to be many other factors that are separating them. And as we know, we said a lot of times before, it's going to be a very close game, a very close group. These Sweden, Germany, and Norway towards the end. So it's going to be fine margins, and there's only a couple of fine margins there that we're looking at.
And to give maybe some more insight on these, or some more explanation for these numbers. So what you're seeing at the top left, the per 50 possession numbers, are of course calculated to 50 possessions. So the turnover numbers currently, of course, aren't that high. But when you calculate it to a whole game, which has about 50 possessions, or it's predicted that this game, with the numbers right now, will have around 50 possessions as well. So of course the numbers are just or the numbers that you see for turnovers of offensive rebounds, or of course for goals as well, are about twice as high as they actually are currently. And maybe we haven't talked about expected goals so much today, but well, I guess Mark, you're the biggest expert on expected goals. You've wrote a great master thesis on for your EHF master coach on expected goals. So maybe you can give some more insight on expected goals, what they mean in general, and maybe in relation to this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a question actually we didn't get to in the chat earlier, which was asking a little bit about expected goals, and I think it was to do with France and why they were lower than the actual goals scored and things like this. And this is often down to, is very closely linked to shot quality and kind of the difference between expected goals and goals would be quite closely linked to efficiency. Teams with a higher efficiency are probably going to outperform their expected goals. If a team exactly hits their expected goals, with their efficiency would be 0 or kind of 100%. They would be kind of bang on that. And then it's essentially a combination of all the shots that each team take have a value. So we can put a number on how likely it is to score. And when we were talking with Bent about the Norwegian or shooting more from 9 meters against Russia, more from outside, they were forced into taking lower quality shots, which would maybe only be high 40s, low 50s percentage success rate that we'd expect. And when you add all those together, you get a number at the end, which shows how likely they were to, or how likely they were to, or what the likely sum of their chances were, the goals that they're going to score from those chances. So, yeah, I mean, I think it gives a guide. It's a lot easier maybe, or it's a lot more it can be quite common to completely to be higher or lower than these numbers as well. It's a performance metric as opposed to to assess the performance as opposed to maybe the outcome.
Yeah, maybe we can go a bit through the numbers themselves. So, of course, the current expected goals numbers are low because that's just it's just a halftime. There's no calculation for the full game, but for the full game are then the per 50 possessions numbers, and these are of course much higher for Norway because Germany has the nearly twice as many turnovers, and of course these are situations where you can't score, so you get no expected goals. Let's say points or expected goals in general for them.
And I think we can see on these stats that because the shot quality is very similar at halftime. An average 55 per shot or 56 per shot for Norway. But Norway expected to score nearly two more goals, which is essentially because of the extra shots they've taken, because the extra 6 balls they've had, which they haven't turned over, and the extra rebounds they've had, giving them extra chances to score. So this is where that tally comes from and where that difference comes from.
Yeah, and shot quality, the next metric is just simply the average expected goal you get per shot. So it's the higher it is, the better shots you get on average. So of course, the best in theory is the closest you can get to the goal without a goalkeeper and just throw the ball in. Then it's in theory close to 100%, let's say. And of course, the worst that you get are the worst normal shot, let's say, that are backcourt shots. Even worse are of course direct free throws, which are about, let's say, 10% or something. I think backcourt shots are depending on where and what exactly, about 40, 45%, something like that. So yeah, the numbers for this game so far aren't that high, but well, I mentioned the backcourt shooting, and that's of course a factor for that. And then efficiency in the end is the overall underperformance of the expected goals. And so far both teams are overperforming a bit, which means that they're scoring better than would have been expected from the shots that they took so far. And looking back at the numbers of the teams so far, well, the expected goals numbers are, efficiency at least, is somewhat similar to their usual games. Shot quality, especially for Germany, is lower than they had before, and the expected goals numbers, of course, are lower for them as well because there's more turnovers than they usually had. But of course, again, it's Germany, and the numbers, of course, were made by some different players, at least in the first games.
We're seeing a few things in the game that we discussed with Bent as well. Has been Erik Torstensen Toft has come in and had quite a good impact into the game, and you see another goal from Norway there, Kent Robin Tunnison, not one that we talked about earlier, but not in the usual starting lineup, despite playing for Veszprem and obviously being a high quality player. But it's some of these extra or additional players that are starting to make an impact and starting to build for Norway now.
Yeah, and yeah, it's building a bit more and more for Norway. So well, let's hope that Germany can strike back. Let's maybe look a bit at the general statistics. The scoring leader for Germany so far is Johannes Goller with perfect 3 of 3. But well, then there are a couple of players with 2 or 1 goal, but that is not one bigger leader emerging. While for Norway, they have Erik Tonsteinsen Toft with 4 goals and 5 shots, and Bartelt and Bjørnsen both 3 on 4 tries. So there's a bit, a bit more. The scoring is more concentrated on some players, but also, as we mentioned earlier, Sander Sargosen is still struggling with just 2 goals on 6 shots so far.
I think possibly the important part for Norway there is Sebastian Barthold and Christian Bjørnsen, which have stepped up a little bit more now as well. That's I mean, there's been a lot of shots from the wing, or they've had a lot of their shots from the wing, but including them in the game has been sort of a factor when they've been playing well and when they've been scoring and playing quicker and playing with fast breaks as well. So the more they're involved in the game, I think the more it goes towards Norway as well.
Yeah, of course. And thank you to the chat. Thank you for your questions, but sadly, none of us speak Spanish, so might try English or German maybe, or Norwegian probably, but sadly, we don't speak Spanish. Or maybe Clemens does, who does the chat, but well,
maybe if someone can translate or Google can translate.
Yep. Well, probably, but I think that, well, of course, we put links in here, but you can find where you can watch the game on eurohandball.com/TV-guide, I think is the link. Yeah, that's the link. So you can find where, well, on which TV channel or on which streaming site you can watch the game in your country. Find it there. And so right now, still Norway is a bit in the lead, but I still have hopes high that Germany can can take this. And I guess we have someone else now, another guest that at least I hope thinks the same. Hi, Martin.
Hey there, Julian and Mark.
Hi, Martin. Thanks for joining us. And as Julian said there, obviously you're very much for Germany in this game. We had our Norwegian guests on in the first half and brought them some luck. So hopefully for you guys, you can bring Germany some luck in the second half here.
I hope so too, but still now it's not the best, but we will look.
Just first of all, what have you made of Germany so far in the competition? Obviously, it's been very disrupted, been a very difficult tournament for Germany. But how do you feel they've coped with it? How do you feel they played and the performances have been in general?
Yeah, in general, it's a very disruptive tournament this year, and with I think 11 players who have changed, and they played a good group first and against good opponents, but now in the main round, we saw it against Spain. The team's getting better now. Norway today is also good, not just the first 7, but the second players who come in at the end of the first half played very well, and it's a very difficult game in the last 20 minutes. But I hope the guys will change the result in the last 10 minutes, so we will see.
Yeah, of course, I hope that as well as a fellow German. So maybe let's talk about the team a bit in general, the German team.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, you mentioned already the big turmoil that has been in the team going on, of course, with all the COVID cases. Well, how do you see the tournament for them so far?
Yeah, as I said, they come together more. I think it's a big team spirit in it because of the disruption, and so they have even the losses. They played very well against Poland, but now against the good teams in the world, I think Spain, Norway, Sweden are one of the top 5 in the world, and in Europe also. It's a different game. So, but I have a very fun to watch a game because we saw a lot of young players in German team. The first tournament, the first games, and they have very much confidence, and that's good to see for the future.
So of course, a thing that's coming up in German media a lot of times currently because of the team aspect that you mentioned, and of course the players that have gone out and have been have joined the team later on, is that the media, of course, is seeking similarities to 2016.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because,
would you
yeah.
agree? Do you see similarities? I mean, you've been there. I don't think that many people could
The similarities are maybe in the 2016 we have the same, in not the special same, but in front of the tournament, because some very important players like Uwe Gensheimer, Patrick Winzek, some others who were very, very important for us were injured, and didn't come to the tournament. So a lot of other players have to be prepared for this championship. And in the first game, we lost against Spain, and that gave us a drive. We were in a flow, but the rhythm was different. Everybody had the same rhythm, and now when you play such tournaments, I think the rhythm is very important to have the same. You play one game, then you have one day off, and that's all in the same team. That's, in my opinion, is very important. So if you have every second game such 5, 6 different players in a team, that's very special. Maybe it works for one game, but for 2 or more against such teams like Spain or Norway, it's very hard.
And we see maybe we're guessing a little bit, but some of the teams you've mentioned there, Sweden, Norway, France, and Denmark on the other side, haven't had the COVID problems in the middle of the tournament. Maybe a little bit before. Do you see that being quite crucial towards the end? I mean, especially when maybe teams haven't had to, or they've been able to rotate players as well, and they haven't had to play games with just 12 or 13 one day while they're waiting for new players. Is that going to be, important in the games coming up, the semi-finals and the final?
Yes, of course. As you said, most of the teams had the problems in front of the tournament, and now have the players at the tournament. And if the situation now in the German team comes for another team, like before the half finals, it's quite difficult to bring other players in such a situation. And we will see. I hope not that teams have such a rotation in the tournament now, especially for the half finals, because then maybe the games are not so good, and that's important for our sports.
Yeah, that's one very big aspect, I think. And of course, that's maybe one thing that might be an advantage for Germany right now, because they already had all the COVID cases. So maybe it's going to come for all the other teams, and in Germany is the last one standing. So who knows in the end?
Yeah, but for this special case, we have to win against Norway, and
it
as I
doesn't
now,
look too
it's
good
not,
right now.
yeah, it doesn't look too good right now. So
Yeah,
I mean,
but
go on.
Yeah, it's still a couple minutes to go, so well, it's not over yet.
no, it's not over.
In this type of position with 4 goals down with just over 10 minutes left, what are you thinking as a player, or what are you I mean, obviously you have your plans before the game and you might talk about these situations, but is this the time now where you're starting to think we have to change our style a little bit, we have to go a little bit quicker, we have to maybe take a couple more chances to steal a couple of balls to speed up the game and get some quick chances? I mean, obviously you can't score 4 goals in one attack, but do you start feeling the pressure at this point a little bit more?
Yes, exactly. At this point, you have more pressure, but you have to focus on your strength and do these things what you really can do, and not take a shot you as 50-50 chances, or I have to look, but it's too simple sometimes. And so you have to focus on the strength, what you really can do, what your job is, and play sometimes the simple things everybody knows, everybody can, and step by step to get the other opponent. And it's in such situations, it's very important to have a good defense. A good defense. Now it's not now we have luck, but with most moves, and to put the opponents under pressure, that they make faults, and that we can do like now simple goals.
Yeah, and probably playing simple is the right thing for this team. Of course, because the players don't know each other too much, they didn't have time to prepare as this team that's currently playing. So
Yes.
yeah, it of course makes sense. It's also interesting now is that Germany, since that when you said relying on defense, that since a couple possessions, they've Daniel Redmann is now the goalkeeper, and has now made a couple of saves, I think. So might actually be have been a good change, even though Johannes Bitter had okay numbers, saving 33.3.
Yes, in the first half, he had very good numbers, I think.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just you have to decide. Sometimes it's just a feeling that you changed and you gave the opponent the other face, and maybe the head begins to think. And so now he has a lot of saves, and maybe all the good goalkeepers sometimes have no saves the whole game, but in the last 10 or 5 minutes, they saves 3 or 2 balls, and that's very important ones. And I hope maybe we are in this situation in the next minutes, but I think it will be very difficult.
Yeah, it continues to not look too good for us Germans.
I've had an interesting question come into the chat. I'm not actually 100% sure on the rule, but they're asking, what happens when, so we've had the replacement players come in. What happens? It would depend if the matches are still going and when the players come out of COVID quarantine. How does that impact team chemistry or the feeling in the group? Is it obviously it's more direct competition for places that maybe isn't normal in the national team, because normally you just take the 16 or 18 there. But do you think it's not like a lot of the players come. There's some young guys have come in, but also Tobias Reichmann, Rune Damke, Johannes Bitter, who've been there and done it before, known to everybody. It's not a lot of experience as well. It's not going to completely impact things, but could it have a positive, negative? How would you see it?
It's always a special situation when players come back, and you have a lot of players now in the tournament, and the coach have to decide which player have to play the game. And the players who come back are very important for the team, and everybody has to find his role. And now the chemistry is good, but when the coach comes and said you don't play, then maybe the chemistry is not the best in this moment. But all players have to look at the whole team and what we can bring together, and that's important in this situation. And maybe have to step back for his ego to be the part of a team in whole, and that other players can do the job.
Yeah. And have you had your phone on just in case, or is there a few people they're going to call ahead of you in case there's some more COVID cases?
No, my phone is I switched it off now for the last days.
Just in case.
Now I played now over 1 year not, and so there are many other players who can play such tournaments. Young players, I think they're more quicker than I now, and for one attack situation, maybe it's enough.
Yeah, and maybe center back is still the position that Germany has like the most problems with. I would say, especially
Yeah.
because, well, Weber often is more like a left back and often mainly plays in Magdeburg now as left back. So yeah, they could need someone like you, maybe.
Yes, I think Philip Weber plays a good tournament, not against Spain. That's not the best game, but in front he had very good decisions, very good passes, but yeah, it's other type of center back, yeah, and I think there are a lot of young guys in the German Bundesliga who could take this role. So
Yeah, too bad that Yuri Knoll couldn't make it to the tournament.
yes,
Especially with, I think that with Weber together, he would have been very interesting in the German backcourt. But
yeah, it's a
yeah,
different
it is what it is.
kind of type of player. That's exactly it.
Yeah, so it is. So yeah, maybe you mentioned that you retired or haven't played over a year ago, and of course you've mentioned things like team building and team chemistry and that a lot in the last things you said. So maybe can you tell a bit about what you're currently doing right now after you've ended your career, and maybe do you have plans to get back into handball in some way or form?
Yeah, what I now doing is to to develop teams in our situations in business and sometimes in sports, to bring them together, more than maybe before. And so we speak about team chemistry, how to build good teams, how to build high performance teams, what's important in this situation, in these cases. I do a lot of studies in the last years to have there some insights and bring my experience from the court and from the team chemistry in it. So we have that's a whole job I do now in almost most time in business cases. But one other special thing is that I not coach, but I'm a mentor, a mentee in the German association and for the young players. For example, I work with Julian Köster. We have in Germany, we have some players from around about 16 players, young players who gave a special special things to handle with. So I'm a mentor for them and spoke with them about school. I spoke with them about the sports situation, how to develop more technically or tactically, and what's the next career steps they could take. And so I'm by side.
So what did you tell Julian Köster before the tournament?
I tell him to have fun and that he do this what he do the last year, because I saw a lot of videos the last 1 year, and for me it's I have a lot of fun to watch him play, and I think for him it was a really good tournament until now, and hope he will do this in the next games also.
Yeah, I mean, he's again the leading scorer for Germany with 3 goals, together with Johannes Goller and Philipp Weber. So, well, he's having a good time, a good game again, and he's playing a lot, getting his minutes, which is, well, not normal for a second Bundesliga player. But of course, he's not the only one you have played when you were with Balingen, Wellstedt in the second Bundesliga as well, I think, right?
Yes. The German second Bundesliga is also a good league, but yeah, it's a very special situation in such a tournament as a second league player. But he's very he can do a lot of things. He's not just a shooter. Sometimes he's more like a playmaker. He had good passes, and especially his defense strength are really good. And he's 21 and his first tournament, so I hope he develop well in the next years. That we have a lot of fun for the next years for him.
Yeah, I've seen him in the matches before the tournament, in the test games, play in the 3-1 defense in front. But
Yes,
to be honest, I haven't seen it too much in the tournament now so far.
yes,
But of course, that
yeah.
might be because of all the changes in the team.
Yeah, maybe of all the changes, but I think at some points in some games we have a chance to play the offensive defense tactics, and yeah, but the coach will decide.
Yeah. So when I look at the Kinexa numbers, Julian Köster actually is the player that played the third longest for Germany so far, with over 40 minutes. So it's really getting his time on the field again, and well, his chance to grow, and well, hopefully he'll play in the Bundesliga next season with. It looks good.
I
Yeah,
think we will see him in the next few years in the Bundesliga.
No matter
I hope
what.
that he come up with Gummersbach maybe, and so we will see what the next years will bring.
Yeah, so it looks really good for him, but sadly, it doesn't look too good for Germany, with
Yes,
around a minute to play and 4 goals down.
4 goals lead. Yeah.
Yeah, too bad. But well, it's just with all the turmoil in the team, and all the other things going around the team, it might not be their time. But well, 2 years, there's the home Euro in Germany, and it's a young team. Players like Julian Köster, well, can get a lot of experience now, and will be much more experienced then. So yeah, and of course the team chemistry point as well might be a good thing. So they have their, well, even though they might not win this game, in the end it might still be a somewhat positive tournament for them.
Yes, it's a tournament with a lot of experience, like a situation never could before, and I hope never come back in the future. And in 2 years, there's a big home tournament. It's very special to play such tournaments in their own country with their own fans. So it has to be a goal for every player, I think for every German player, to play such a tournament at home, and the first European Championship in Germany. So it's some kind of special. And yeah, we will see how the team will develop until this time. And I think the way they go with the young players is very good, because they have to bring him in and do the self-confidence they need for such tournaments like this.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with the game almost over, I think we can look at some statistics again. The shooting efficiency is just a bit higher for for Norway, with 64% made shots, while Germany has 61. Well, but of course the big difference is the turnovers, where just Germany had 8 and Norway just 4, and Norway had a couple of second chances. So yeah, that's it. that's it in the end. And of course, yeah, the goalkeeping numbers are around the same, so there's not, with the similar shooting percentage, of course, there's not so much advantage on this side. But yeah, it's over. And yeah, Balingen still loves you, as we can see in the chat, Martin.
We love you.
So yeah. So thank you, Martin,
My
for
first time at
joining
Twitch,
us.
so
Yeah, it's our first time as well. So thank you for being our guest today.
yeah, thank you for inviting me. I wish the next games good luck for our team, but for the other teams, especially that everybody comes home very well from this special tournament.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. All right,
So,
Martin, then thank you, and
Thank you very much.
see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Right.
All right, Mark, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think you summed up some of the things there. I mean, it's the key statistical battles we talked about were there with the technical fouls, the numbers for Germany. We had he's just been named player of the match, Eric Toft, a good impact in the game. And we talked earlier how Sander Saxon was struggling from 9 meters, and Toft came in and gave the impetus, gave the impact that to solve that situation. So I think that's 28-23 for Norway. That's I'll have to go back and check if anyone predicted that in the chat. And then, yeah, no, I think that's it from us.
Yeah. So like one last thing maybe that we mentioned in the beginning was the pace, and at halftime we had around 25 possessions for each team. Now in the end it was 46, so the game was relatively slow. Possession length for both teams is very high. So even though the result itself is not the highest, one factor, of course, was the relatively slow game. So the offensive performance itself, especially by Norway, was very good, scoring 30.4 goals per 50 possessions, which is a very, very good number. And well, even though Germany had not too bad goalkeeping, well, the defense itself didn't help the goalkeepers enough. And well, we said it, per 50 possessions, it was 9.8 turnovers for Germany and just 4.3 for Norway, so which is extremely low. So this, was the big difference in the end.
Yeah, and now we'll see how that goes in the games going forward. And it looks in this group that we're heading towards, as we said at the start, a Sweden, Norway quarterfinal match on the last round of matches, which will be a great game to see. So yeah, it's an exciting group that's shaping up quite nicely now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And of course, we'll discuss that in our next show in a couple of days. You always, of course, can follow us on social media. You can find me at Handpolitics, and you can find Mark at, just type in Mark Hawkins. I don't know what the exact what your exact handle is. And of course, you can find us my stuff on the official EHF Euro 2020 homepage, where I'll write a couple of articles in the next days. So there'll be a lot of us coming. The next show on here on Twitch will be the big show with Edu and Chris O'Reilly, this time live from the arena in Budapest at Sunday at 2 p.m. So subscribe to this channel, and well, see you next time. Thank you for watching and have a great evening. Bye.